my trail intentionally has some obstacles to overcome where maybe the other trails don't necessarily have that. It's kind of really outside of my hands. It's funny, like I did publish it, I have produced it, but so much of it has been from what other people have donated, from what other people have shared, and from what other people have published, and from what other people have pioneered. The boots on the ground, that's the real deal. That's what it's all about. And then I just am the one who came, like I said, I'm kind of on the zoom out level, so I'm the one who kind of saw above that all of this was going on, but there really wasn't something like harnessing it or something that was defining it, which is what an author, I feel like is supposed to do, is to define something. But I think the Hot Springs Trail as a whole just recognizes the culture of people who are willing to put in the time to do this.
The Bigfoot and the PNT, those are really put together by like a real strong person behind it that's holding this thing together. If they were to be removed from the project, I wonder if the trail would still stand. The thing about the PCT that's really awesome is that the original creator of it isn't the one who's behind it right now holding it together. And that's what I would love to see with the Hot Springs Trail. Like, my intentional goal with the Hot Springs Trail is not to be the person who starts the 401c, is not to be the person who's bureaucrating in Washington and all this stuff. Like, that's for you guys. To be a real entrepreneur, you have to be removed from the situation and it stand. And it has to provide jobs. When I look at a trail like the PCT and how the PCTA is employing people, I'm like hands clapping, man. That is so awesome. That's the real reason why I'm publishing this trail. It's not so much for me to do that, but it's just, it just provides the opportunity.
Yeah, it's good, man.
For me, it's a market test. Feedback is awesome. If it's meant to happen, then it will happen. It's just the way that I go about my business. I think this is more of a new entrepreneurial way to do things. I think the old school way was to hide the market test, to go into the malls of America and pay people $8 to take a survey for 45 minutes and get their feedback. And then when you had enough homogeny and acceptance and approval, then you launch the product. It's not going to work like that for me. How I do it is just, it's out in the street, it's out in the open, it's online. And if enough people love it, then it'll be a National Scenic Trail. I don't have to do any work.
Right.
It's not that I don't have to do any work. I don't mean it like that. But I don't have to do all of this old school bureaucracy trying to create these new proposed trails instead of just honoring the existing trails. It just saves a lot of work. And then if that work does need to be done, then we can do that when the time comes. At least 100 people have to hike the trail before it's even worth talking about, really. You know what I mean? At this point, everything is just a proposal. What state that proposal's in is going to be ongoing for the next, how long did it take for that PCT to get approved? How long does it take for, I think Ron Strickland was working for 30 years on his trail, but that's going the old school way. See, I think the new school way, you guys could get on board. This thing could flash, like, boom, next year, this thing could be out there. Like, things happen so fast in the modern day. People like that whole viral kind of thing, it can go from nothing to something like overnight, and I'm not saying that I'm planning on that or predicting that or anything like that, but I'm just saying that, that's a more organic way than trying to force it through the bureaucracy, force it through the advertising, force it through all this legislation. My trails are designed by the hikers. The people who go out and they try my trails and they hit me back up and they give me messages, they give me feedback. I take their feedback and I apply it to the books, I apply it to the route, and the route gets better for the hikers. It's by the hikers. And so when we get about 100 hikers, what I'm saying, that who have hiked it and who have put their input in and who have, now we've got that kind of homogeny, the same way that they used to do the old market test, but it's not hidden in the malls of America now. It's on the trails of America. Then we'll have something, because as good as I think it is, it's going to get even better once, more 2 cents and more 2 cents gets added to it. The value is just going to keep going up.
This is the Cascade Hiker Podcast. Find us over at CascadeHikerPodcast.com.
I'm not trying to start the bureaucracy without knowing that people are cool with it or that they really want it. They say this all the time. It's almost so cliche. It's like, when I was striving to get the journey built, it's like I was so hungry. And now that the journey's built and the book is published and I've hiked the trail, it's like I've kind of lost a lot of that fire. It's cool, but it's also like the fire of the birth.
I like the idea that the idea sex breeds the baby, which is the book that's in my hand that can become my own child. That's cool, man. I like putting it all together like that.
They're not my wife, they're my kids, and I will do anything for my kids. But eventually they are going to have to grow up, and I do want them to be responsible. If they don't take care of themselves, they are going to have to pay consequences.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds really cool.